Well, hello, my beautiful Scorpios. How are you, my gorgeous ones? So, we have a big month for you. Listen, the next couple of probably 3, 4, 5 months are going to be really tough, but you can do this. But because by the end, you're going to be able to understand exactly where you want your boundaries to be, not where other people have told you where they should be, but exactly how you want your life, right? So, welcome everyone. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Cindy. I am the modern day spiritual advisor. I use multiple modalities, including tarot, astrology, hypnotherapy, mediumship, all kinds of stuff to help you on your path. So, my gorgeous ones, I am going to go over the highlights. I'm not going to go in too deep. I will give you some stuff. I'm going to be doing the extended videos on my website. That won't be done till next week because it is my birthday today and I am taking a couple of days off. So let's talk about this grand trine that's happening. So a grand trine, if you don't know, is a gift being brought to you. It's a divinely guided gift brought to you on your path, right? It's for you on your path. So this grand trine has to do with you, your first house. Jupiter has been retrograde in your first house. Jupiter wants to expand you. And just when you thought you had some things figured out, Jupiter went retrograde and had you readjust and amend. And it's still having you do this because it's retrograde. Readjust and amend and edit and try to figure this out, right? Readjust and amend and reorganize and complete some things, right? And then Neptune is in Pisces. So Jupiter's in Scorpio, Neptune's in Pisces, and this is in your, so this is your first house, second house, third house, fourth house, fifth house. That's your fifth house of creativity, your fifth house of love affairs, right? So the fifth house, it's a lot more than that, but with Neptune and Pisces in there, it's allowed you to be inspired, to be connected to the other side, to be really connecting, for you guys to be really connecting to your heart, to be really, for a long time, many of you were unable to say what you truly wanted. And then you got to this place where you didn't know what you wanted because you couldn't even look in your heart because you were always looking to other people, or you were always making sure that you were doing things right. And so with Neptune in there, I can feel like for you guys, it's about bringing your heart's desire out. It's about bringing that love affair out. It's about bringing something that you wanted to create, right? That's that house. Then you have Venus in Cancer, and that's in yours. So this is you, 12, 11, 10, 9. The ninth house is your belief system. The ninth house has to do with higher education and things that you really want, trying to figure out why is it that we do that, and what is the connection to the other world. And I understand that I have a connection, but what is that? I feel it, but I don't know it all the way, right? That's some of you. But the ninth house also has to do with the residency and real estate and your siblings, right? It could have to do with your extended family. So but it has to do with foreign travel and higher purpose, philosophy, spirituality. And so Venus is in there right now. This trine having to do with your first house, your fifth house, and your ninth house. I mean, I could see some traveling coming for you guys. I can see some understanding, like maybe you're meant to travel somewhere so that you go on a pilgrimage so that you understand more of being connected to your heart, more of what you really want. And so there's a gift coming to help fulfill you emotionally. Now, I know a lot of people have questions about, well, what is it specifically? What does it mean? Well, it means a lot of things. This is a general reading. This is why I use my services for a personal reading. I wouldn't know until I went into your astrological chart, because you could have some aspects where things aren't coming in, or they're maybe delayed, or maybe they come in a different way. I wouldn't know until I looked at your chart. So that's going to be happening from the 1st through the 3rd of June, and then on the 5th. Now we have Mars retrograding this month. Your 8th house, your 9th house, your 10th house, your first house and your third house are lit up. So this is about not only you trying to understand you, your real, like, mm, yeah, you, and bringing that out, but communicating that to the world and to those around you. And that's a big step. And that's what you're going to be doing for the next 4 or 5 months. But when you're done, you're going to be able to know truthfully where you're at, what you want, who you want around, and who you don't want around, and not feeling guilty if you don't, right? So, on the 5th of June, I promised I wouldn't go, I'm not going to go deep. So, on the 5th of June, because I'm going to do that on my extended video. Okay, so on the 5th of June, the sun is going to conjunct Mercury, or Mercury is going to conjunct the sun. So that means they're having this conversation, right? And so that is happening in your 12th, 11th, 10th, 9th, 8th. Like I said, your 8th house. So the 8th house is you. The 8th house has to do with you, has to do with taking your power, understanding shared resources, understanding boundaries in that, like how you share your resources, what it is that you want to do, and understanding that you have power in that. So the sun likes to bring clarity, and Mercury likes to bring a message. So I see where when this happens, you could be receiving some sort of message about, if you're speaking about divorce, or speaking about a marriage, or speaking about shared resources anyway. Maybe a boss, maybe your job is finally going to give you that raise, or maybe they come to you and say that they have to wait on the raise, or maybe they come and give you a position like this. It kind of depends on you, your aspect, and your chart. But what I can say is that the sun comes to clear things up. The sun is very giving. He wants to give, right? And Mercury wants to bring messages. And so in that 8th house, that's going to be lit up for you. Now, there is a square going on with the 8th house and your 5th house. Excuse me. So this has to do with something that's being created from your heart, something that you can be very passionate about, something that you're trying to bring forth, right? And so with the square, it could look one way because we have Neptune here. So you could be seeing things one way, where the sun is trying to shine a light and bring you clarity and bring you a message about why that's coming about that way. Does that make sense? So that'll be happening on the 5th, sorry. On the 12th, so the 12th, 13th, and 14th are really important days. So on the 12th, we have Mercury entering Cancer, and that's going to be in your 9th house. Now, the 9th house is, again, a huge house. It has more to do not just with your belief systems, but with higher learning and higher education. This is also where your gurus and teachers and mentors come in, right? And so when Mercury moves into Cancer, it can be a very sensitive time for people. But yeah, it can be a very sensitive time for people. And Venus is in here already, so it is kind of a sensitive time. Like, you may be hearing, when this message comes through, you may be hearing it one way, but they meant it another. Or you may be having to say something, and the way you said it wasn't well received, right? Because there could be some miscommunication going on. But it's for your higher understanding. It's for... and this has to do with you opening your heart, like that true deep you know, the one where people told you can't act that way, or you got to pull back, or you can't be too intense. Like, this is about you opening your heart. So on the 12th, that'll be in your 9th house, but we could be talking about relocation too, because the 9th house has to do with not just travel, foreign lands, but it could have to do with relocation. And the reason I say this is because Mars is in this house, and this house is your 4th house. It has to do with you, your DNA, where you came from, why you came from, understanding your lineage, and doing it in a very different way than what you thought you were going to do that. Does that make sense? So that'll be happening on the 12th, where you get this message. On the 13th, see, this is your 10th house too. So you have the North Node in your 10th house, and you have this sextile before we move on. This sextile is with the moon, and the moon doesn't stay there very long, but this 10th house, you've been really working on understanding your career, or what you want to do, or what you want to do next in life, or how you want to do this, or what your life purpose is. And just when you thought you kind of had it figured out, it went retrograde and you had to readjust, and you're still amending and you're still trying to figure that out. And when Venus moves in there, it's going to be bringing you gifts. But right now you have the sextile in there on the 12th with the moon. So something emotionally comes to you. And I think this is in a good way, because it's the moon. It wants to fulfill you. And it has to do with you believing in... I want to say, because this has to do with your shared resources, so you believing in someone again. That's what that has to do with. Okay, so that's going to be happening on the 12th, and then on the 13th, we have the new moon in Gemini. And again, that house is lit up. So that new moon in Gemini, new moons are about manifestations, new beginnings, fate, destiny coming in, right? And so when the new moon comes into your 8th house, yeah, just making sure. Yeah, when the new moon comes into your 8th house, I do have videos about the new moon and how to use that to manifest. This is... see, I know this doesn't have to do with your 2nd house, but I'm feeling like this is about your power and understanding that you can create, and understanding that you have a say, and understanding that it's not an extreme one way or the other. Like, sometimes what will happen is that you will get where you will allow so many things to happen to you because you don't want to be too powerful, right? Like, you don't want to overdo something, or take a relationship and like be the dominant one, right? And so what you'll do is you'll back off. But what you're trying to understand with this house, and you will be in the next 4 or 5 months, is how to have an equal, flowing relationship. Having your power, keeping your power, but having it in connection with a partner, with partnership, and that can be in business, in family, in love relationships. And that's kind of what this is about. So when the new moon comes in, I want you to think about how you want things. How do you see yourself in the next 30 days? Like, what do you see yourself manifesting? That's what I want you to be thinking about, right? Because what hasn't happened, or who did what, like, you know all that. You've been sitting in that. You've been working through that. So let's look into the future. Let's look into what we want, how you want your life, how you want your relationships, right? So on the 14th, Venus moves into... Hold on, let me go to the 14th. So on the 14th, Venus moves into Leo, into your 10th house. So if you have been focused on work, your life purpose, your reputation, the way you're out into the world, and you have been, because this North Node is here. If you've been working on that, when Venus comes, Venus wants to bring love, luck, and money. So you could get that position. You could be relocating. You could be, like, if relocation has to do with your life purpose, then you will be relocating. You will, we have the 4th house has to do with your property and your family and your mother and your extended family. And so you could be reevaluating this stuff. And if relocation is part of it, then that's what you'll be doing. That's like on your path. So it's going to be bringing blessing to you here on the 14th. So the 12th, the 13th, and the 14th, you have, this does have to do with your 3rd house, which is about the way that you communicate this, about the way that you say what you really feel from your heart. Okay, and that's what's going to be going on the 12th, 13th, and 14th. Okay, so now on the 18th, Neptune retrogrades. Well, some of you it's on the 19th, some of you it's on the 18th. Depends on where you live in the world. So on the 19th or 18th, Neptune is going to retrograde in here. So all these things that you had been working on, you may have to readjust, you may have to amend, but you may be completing some things, right? And so with this being in your 5th house, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th house, with this being in your fifth house, that thing that you're trying to create, that thing that you're trying to see, that thing that you're trying to bring forth, you could have to have some adjustment in there. But some of you may be completing it and taking it to the next level, right? For some of you, I mean, this could mean like the next level. I'm getting with you the way that I got with another sign is like I'm seeing um, going to the next level with the cosmetics and the beauty and the fame and the that. So if you're working in that, if that's what you've been trying to create, I can see that there could be some adjustment, but you also could complete some things if you've been working on it. Does that make sense? Um, yeah, because your 10th house is lit up too. Yeah, and on that day, that Venus is right on your north node, right on the north node. So you could be getting a surprise about that. This has, but see how Venus is opposing Mars? You're used to this energy because when Mars goes retrograde, it's like that scorpionic energy. And so, um, yeah, this could be. I feel like some of you are going to relocate, but I feel like some of you are finally going to have that conversation with the family members that you need to, or friends around you that you need to. Okay. So on the 18th, that fifth house, you'll be working on that for a while. So I'll give you a scenario. Maybe you're into beauty and cosmetics or the film industry because Neptune has to do with that too. So maybe you're in the film industry and you're trying to get this part, and then they call you and they say, "We're, we want you for this part," but then maybe you have to like what's going to take, maybe the part gets delayed and maybe it gets delayed out a month. Maybe they thought they were going to start on in 2 weeks and then maybe it gets delayed a month. Doesn't mean that you didn't get it, just means you're readjusting it or you're amending it or something needs to be worked out here before it comes through. Okay, so that's just one scenario that I was getting. So that's what you'll be working on starting on the 18th or 19th. Now on the 21st, let's look at the 21st. The 21st, the sun enters Cancer, and so this is going to be a sensitive time for everyone, for everyone. Okay, because the sun and Mercury are in there. So there could be some things being said that are misunderstood, especially this is your third house. So this is communication, and this is about taking your power because Pluto is about power. Pluto and you are that eighth house, right? So power. This has to do when the sun comes in here, it's going to clear something up. It wants to clear something up, but there's a message being brought that could be received wrong or could be received in a way that I don't know, wasn't nice or made you perturbed. Or you could be having to say something, but maybe you're not used to saying something, so maybe when you finally say something, you blow up and then they don't receive it well. Whatever this is, the sun is going to give you some clarity. The sun is going to align things for you, but just understand if your buttons are being pushed at this time, take a deep breath, okay? So on the 23rd, this is when the 23rd, let me look at that, sorry. So on the 23rd, this is the sun and Uranus are sextile. So the sun, again, in your 12th, 11th, 10th, 9th. So the sun in your 9th house and Uranus in your 7th house, which is your opposite, Taurus, right? So 7th, 8th, 9th. So this sextile right here is an opportunity. Yeah, this ninth house is about understanding. This ninth house is about higher education. This ninth house is about relocation. So there could be something going on with the relationship where you're having to relocate, or you get the opportunity to relocate. Okay, this could go a couple of ways. This could go with maybe you're seeing somebody from afar, or maybe you two finally are able to relocate and be together. Maybe you two have been together and then you relocate to, maybe you decide that that's not it. I mean, that whatever this is Uranus. So Uranus likes to shock and awe, to liberate you. but it'll make you feel better in the end. This is about your understanding. This is about your um, growth. Yeah. So that'll be happening on the 23rd. Um, Let me look at this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. Okay. Just wanted to make sure that was the correct house. So on the 26th, and yeah, there's other aspects, but I can't, I'm going to go into them in that extended video because here I can't do a video too long. Um, but over there I can really delve in and really look at the aspects and really look at the houses and really look at what's going on. Okay, so on the 26th, this is when Mars retrogrades. Sorry, this is when Mars retrogrades. And this is going to be in your first, second, third, fourth house. So this is this is going to be a very powerful time. It already is, and it's just going to be this way for like till you're not going to see the results of this stuff till like September, October, right? And you're going to have to be really working in this energy. You're used to this energy, so it's going to feel okay for you. But because this is your fourth house, this is about your lineage, and this is about your property, and this is about you and where you came from and why you do the things that you do, right? And so with Mars in there, it's Mars is an aggressive energy, but you know how to focus this energy to get stuff done, to have this understanding, right? And so when Mars retrogrades, for you, you could be working on, again, the relocation. Maybe you have issues with mother issues could come up, family issues could come up, or property issues could come up, okay? And you'll be reevaluating these relationships with all of this. You'll be understanding, what do I want, what do I not want, who do I want in my life, and who do I not want in my life? How do I want my life? How was my life, and how do I want it to be different? Like, you're going to be reevaluating all this stuff, okay? And it's important because your third house is lit up with Saturn and Pluto. Pluto's transformation. Pluto is like you. Pluto wants to understand. Pluto is about controlling, right? And the power that you have. And there's power in the words that you say. There is power in the way that you communicate. And that's what he will bring up stuff to help you understand and transform this. Saturn has been making you work really, really hard. Again, these are retrogrades, so amending, editing, completing, revising. All of that can come through. And really, really working hard on saying what it is that's true for you. That's like a big issue for you guys. And you guys have done a lot of work, because Jupiter's in your first house. There's just a couple more months to go where it's going to get intense. It's going to get intense for you guys, but you have some changes coming. And some of them are going to shock you, but it's needed for where you want to be on your path. Okay? So, on the 29th, the last thing, on the 28th, second to the last thing, on the 28th, we were just talking about this. This is the full moon in Capricorn. So the full moon is about letting go of what no longer serves you, completions, endings, things happening in that manner, right? And this is your third house of communication, of property, of media, of editing, of revising, all of this, right? So I have a full moon video. You can go and watch that to understand how to use the energy. And I'll say this before, I've said this before, I'll say it again to you guys. From our higher selves, we can have unlimited amounts of energy run through us, right? But in our physical aspect, in this resonance, we can only have so much energy run through us. Well, throughout our lives, the traumas that we've had and the things that you've had to go through, maybe you didn't have time to go through that and let that go. Maybe you had to keep working. Maybe you had to like put food on the table for your family. Maybe you had to do, like, you just didn't have time. And so what you ended up doing was you kept going on with your life, but you kept that energy. You didn't release it, understand it, let it go. And when I say let it go, Spirit never wants you to just let it go. Letting it go means understanding. Why did that happen? What did I understand from that? How am I different now than I was then? Had that thing not come in? So when that happens, that's transmuting the energy. Then that's letting that go so that your abundance, you'll have more room in your energetic field for your abundance to come in. Okay? So looks like on that this full moon is going to be really powerful for you guys because you've had Saturn in there. It's going to be powerful for a lot of people, but it's going to be really powerful for you in really staking claim, taking your power, understanding how to communicate what it is that you want, really communicate what it is that you want. And that will be going on the 28th, and you feel the effects of that for like 2 or 3 weeks. So you could still be like in the process of letting things go, right? And then the last thing is on the 29th. This is when, here we go, sorry. So on the 29th, Mercury enters your 10th house of Leo. So you have Venus in there, you have your North Node in there, and then you're going to have Mercury in there. So whatever has been going on, whatever has been delayed, whatever's not been coming through, especially this has been delayed stuff too. So whatever's not coming through is going to finally come through with a message. And I think it's going to come through with this too, especially when that Venus is right on top of that North Node. Whatever's been delayed is going to come through at that time. Now, it doesn't have to be right on that day. Energy kind of flows. So it could be a couple days before. It could be a week later. It could be a week before. It kind of depends on you, your aspect, and your chart. Okay? So, but you do have some sort of message coming to you to help you in this house. To really understand why you came, what you want to do from this point, how you want your relationships, what it is that you want to show the world, right? So let's talk about your tarot reading. Look at this tarot reading. Okay. So in your first position, you have the Chariot. This is you in the month of June. So there are some decisions that you're really having to make, and a lot of you have made some decisions, but there are some others that, because I do see some of y'all making the little decisions, but the one that you really need to make, you're kind of not making. You know what to do, you just, because you don't want to hurt somebody, or there's lots of reasons, like you've been told to like back off, or maybe this was a habit that you learned not to really say what you really mean. Like for some reason, you're not taking this action in this decision that you're making. But the Chariot is about you coming to an understanding that you have power, that you can say how your world is, and that you can take your power back. That's the Chariot, taking the reins of the horses and directing it. Like saying, this is how I want my life. This is who I want in my life. This is who I don't want in my life. Like, this is what you'll be, or this is you now, is like staying in the middle and staying in the middle. But it's time to like take your power, take your understanding, right? So this is your challenge. And your challenge is, I see this a lot of different ways. So this is the Six of Cups. So your challenge and Spirit's advice is, for some of you, making this decision and taking this action has to do with like a past life habit, or a habit that you learned when you were young. This is like the past coming back. Yeah, the karmic past coming back for some of you. So I feel like this could throw you off. Having to get over this or through this could throw you off. For others of you, there is somebody that's going to be coming back around. But if they come back around, if they come back here in the month of June, when somebody comes back around, especially during retrogrades, Mercury and any of them, they don't come back around. They don't always come back around just to stay. They come back around so that you can end or complete things, right? And so this could throw you off, and that's why it's a challenge, because it could be like you really need to make a choice and take an action. Well, you've made your choice. Take an action in the choice that you make, but then you could focus on this person or this relationship or whatever's going on here and not do what you really want to do, or do what you need to do to get you on track, right? And so this could be confusing for some of you. That's why they had me say this about your retrograde. Retrogrades, if somebody comes back during a retrograde, doesn't mean that they're here to stay. It just means they're here to complete that phase. Now, They can complete the phase, and then you understand, oh, I do want this person in my life because they've changed. Or they could come back and you say, nope, he or she is doing the same thing they did before. I'm letting that go. I'm ending it. Goodbye. Right? And that's kind of where you're at. Or this could be a situation coming back around. It doesn't necessarily have to be the person, but there's a situation coming back around. Yeah, and it can throw you off, but you need to stay focused on taking an action in this decision. So and the reason I say stay focused is because this is your fate, destiny, things that are coming, that are on your path, and you have a tough 4 or 5 months. You do have a tough 4 or 5 months, because some of you are going to be relocating, some of you are going to be put in totally different situations than you're used to. It's just going to feel, yeah, off. Okay, so you have the Nine of Swords. The Nine of Swords is about being overwhelmed. The Nine of Swords, I mean, if it was the Eight of Swords, I would say it was a test, but it's not. This is about being overwhelmed with the choices, with the way, with doing what you really want to do and doing what others want you to do, right? So for some of you, this isn't for everybody. I feel like some of you feel like, if I do what I want to do, then I'll be cheating them. But if I do what they want to do, then I'll be cheating me. And this is where the Strength card comes in, because the Strength card is about what's going to be going on all month. Okay? The Strength card is finding a space in the middle where you get what you want and they can have what they want, right? There is a place in the middle where you're able to take your power, keep your boundaries, and they're able to also see and get what they want. That's the Strength card, taming that beast. It doesn't have to be one way or the other. It doesn't have to be the extreme. It can be where we both come together and have an understanding, right? You having your boundaries and you not going over their boundaries. And that's what you'll sort of be working through in the month of June. So when you get overwhelmed, just take one at a time, and figure it out, right? One at a time. It's important for you to keep your boundaries. It's important for you to take your power back, but you don't want to swing the pendulum all one way either. You want to kind of come in the middle for this, okay? All right, my gorgeous ones. Have a wonderful, wonderful month. I love you, love you, love you. See you later. Bye. Oh, please be sure to like, share, and subscribe.